Tony Fernandes, welcome to In Conversation.
Good to be back.
Your t-shirt says, "We're back,"
We certainly are.
but at the same attractive, super cheap prices like before the pandemic?
Well, you asked me in January. I said our objective is to do that. Today we announced $1 Sing fares and 38 Sing fares. Look, oil is double from when we met in January, so it isn't as cheap as it was. Currencies have weakened, so we have to take that into consideration. But relatively, airlines have always been very cheap anyway, and so yes, they've gone up, but they're still incredible value. And of course, AirAsia will always be lower fare than everyone else.
Europe's biggest budget carrier, Ryanair, has just said that the era of the super cheap €10 ticket is over. So can we say the same though with AirAsia? Is the era of the 99 cents AirAsia ticket over too?
No, it's not. But Michael O'Leary is right that airfares have been too cheap for too long. Now, we will always have inventory to stimulate demand because we're not going to sell every single seat, every flight. And we want to stimulate new destinations, etc. But he's right. I think airfares have been negative inflation, and we have to catch up on pricing. But in AirAsia's case, there will be always great offers.
But a recent survey says that air ticket prices flying out of Singapore are 27% up compared with pre-COVID levels. 27% is a lot more to pay for a ticket.
Yeah, well, we're back now. It's going to come down since we're back. And take a flight to KL with your Sing dollar. It's going to be a lot cheaper flying out of Kuala Lumpur than Singapore. I think definitely fares are up, but Singapore is basically a long haul. And the long haul fares have been really up because capacity is down. I mean, even economy, even I'm surprised at how that's not sustainable because there'll be more capacity coming on. You know, Qatar's got a lot of planes out of action, Singapore Airlines, you just have to look at there. We're all building back capacity, and demand has clearly outstripped supply, and that's a clear economic thing. When demand is higher than supply, prices are going to go up. That will stabilize. But I don't think it's affected the market. I mean, I'm trying to fly to London, and I can't get a ticket, right? And I mean, not many airlines like me, but still, I can't get a ticket, right? So, and I don't think it's because of me. So demand is there, so people still want to fly.
So it's merely a question of the volume coming back up again.
Correct. Everyone wants to fly, right? But there's limited amount of capacity.
But what about the fact that when people were trying to book tickets, just as you said, there were a lot of hiccups also on apps, including your own.
Yeah.
And that soured the mood as well.
No, I mean, look, people have to understand starting up an airline is not as easy as turning up with a few cameras. And even then you forget the battery. So turning up with cameras and get 200 planes, retraining everyone, getting everything, there's going to be teething issues. If I haven't played football for 2 years, and then you put me on a football pitch, I'm going to discover new muscles that I didn't know existed, right? So, but I think the stability has now come back to the airline industry. And, you should give applause to the airline industry. When you think of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of planes that were grounded and staff left the industry, to restart that is a monstrous operation, but really it isn't that badly affected.
So was Jetstar fair when they said that they had technical difficulties recently with all their problems in Bali and so on, that it was just teething pains of coming back into form?
Not for me to comment, I don't know anything about it, but we had teething issues as well, right? You plan for a schedule months in ahead, and you anticipate that the planes will be ready after servicing, but when the service takes what you think would be 2 weeks, but because it has been used for years and years, takes 4 weeks, can't really blame anyone for that.
So are you warning AirAsia passengers as well that they should be careful?
We're ready.
You're through your teething pains?
Yeah, we're through our teething. Our teething pains were only caused by the schedule, that it took us longer to service planes. Apart from that, staffing, pilots, everything has been fine.
What about people who say that as long as oil prices stay high, as long as we have a war in Ukraine, it's going to be really difficult for low-cost carriers like yourself to actually do well?
Oh, absolutely
Out
not.
of every
No,
dollar, operating costs are now up at what? Nearly, 90 cents out of the dollar.
Yeah, no. It's not that. Oil price probably takes about 50% of our dollar. It was around that, even at the lower prices. We've adjusted our fares, we've adjusted our costs.
The total operating costs
Yeah.
are really eating up your profits.
Yeah, no different. What has changed is revenues are better, ancillary is better, demand is better because people want to fly. They've missed flying for 3 years. So margin-wise, we're in the same position, if not better. Then also, competitive environment has changed. There are a lot of airlines who really weren't interested in making money. Now everyone is interested in making money. So the fare environment is taking care of a lot of those costs that you're talking about.
Oh, so you're saying that market share isn't just the thing that people are chasing anymore. It is that they want to see the bottom line as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is
refocusing
look, for
back
someone
to
who
that.
came from the music business, it was very bizarre to me to see so many airlines not really interested in making money. That has changed. COVID has changed that. And I see a very sensible airline market now, which obviously has made revenue much better.
Are you worried, though, that we're moving into a global recession, that things are slowing down for everybody?
Yeah, no, I think someone asked me just now, is AirAsia a beneficiary of a recession? Absolutely. People want to travel. That's there. When I was young, we never traveled. But now everyone takes their kids or family on holiday, or themselves on holiday. Migratory workforce is much more than, Singapore has a big migratory workforce that work here and then go home for see their parents, holidays, whatever. So that's there. Student population has also become very mobile. And then GDP in ASEAN is probably going to go through a very golden period despite a recession. We're probably a net benefactor of a global recession. And then I do believe that people will trade down if there's value, right? If you bought a Gucci shirt, you may buy a Uniqlo shirt. If you flew on a full service airline, you may go on a low cost now, right? And I think also we're beneficiary of shorter travel. People may not go to Europe, but may go to Phuket, right? So no, I've been through many recessions and we actually grow during these recessions. The recession is coming. I think it's inevitable. And it's needed. There's a lot of bubbles out there. There's a lot of false markets, a lot of assets that are inflated. And we need a cleaning up of the financial system to go back into real productivity. A lot of capital is going into speculation as opposed to investing in real growth and real assets. So I think it's going to come. I think it's not a bad thing. And I think all of us will come out of this better.
And you're not afraid that we're just going to go into a recession coupled with high prices as well still, with inflation creeping up?
No, no, no. Nothing's going to get me. I've just come through COVID, where I couldn't fly. So don't spook. Nothing's going to spook me from Channel News Asia on high prices or oil. No, we've got demand. We know how to get that demand, and we're excited. Look, can you imagine for 2.5 years we haven't been able to fly? So all these other things are irrelevant to me.
Well, I'm not trying to spook you, but isn't it a bit spooky what's happening in China? You're not going to get the Chinese traveler. The Chinese traveler is not only big in volume, but they spend as well. What's going to happen when they are out of the equation, if there's even COVID policy?
You may know something I don't, but I'm pretty sure China will open up at some point. We've been getting more frequencies given to us by the Chinese government across our network. They're allowing students to be repatriated now. You're seeing better signs coming out of Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. So, those are the last bastions of a travel kind of ban. I think it's going to change. It's inevitable. It's not a problem for us now because we haven't got all our planes back anyway. But also, even if China never comes back, there's India, there's a whole lot of ASEAN that's now happening, a lot of ASEAN travel. If you look at our board here, there are many places that Singapore doesn't have access to. There are many points that we can create. So I think China will come back. I don't think the world is in a position where countries can be closed for very long. You see Japan, which was also quite draconian. Yeah, and every day opening up. Korea every day opening up. Taiwan every day beginning. All the noises are right. So no, China will come back without a doubt. When, I don't know, but they will come back.
Do you think, though, that the face of the budget traveler is changing? I mean, climate change. A lot of young people think that a lot of the terrible things we're seeing in Pakistan, the flooding, floods in Bangkok.
Climate change is here, and if anyone says it's not here, they're kidding themselves. We all have a responsibility, and AirAsia has a responsibility. I'm going to announce on Channel News Asia, which we haven't announced anywhere else, that we are confident of being, zero carbon 2030. We have always been ahead of the game anyway, in terms of cost per seat, in terms of carbon credits, in terms of fighting aviation authorities to have more efficient landing patterns. We have new aircraft. So it is an important thing for us. And ESG is not just about the environment. We have to protect other parts of the environment, sustainable tourism, human trafficking, and sustainable businesses. We have to focus on surviving ourselves.
Well, what about a young person who just says, hey, I'm just not going to travel anymore? A Greta Thunberg type, approach.
Yeah,
they'll start paddling on their SUPs rather than take an AirAsia flight.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Let's be real. But I think people want to make sure that their carbon footprint is covered. And that's our job to do that. But I don't think anyone's going to say, I'm going to sail from Kuala Lumpur. You can. From Singapore to KL. I don't think so. I think travel is part of someone's lifestyle. We have to be more responsible. And that's all of us. I think another part that AirAsia can play is that educate. Do people really understand their own carbon footprint? If they buy an electric car, do they actually think they are saving? They don't know where the electricity comes from.
Yeah,
So
it could be a coal-fired power station, plugging it into a coal-fired
So
power
that's our
station.
education that we're going to do, right? So yeah, we have to play a part, but I don't think we have millions of Greta Thunbergs. I don't think so.
What about countries that say that they don't want to have budget travelers anymore? Bhutan already puts restrictions on the number of people coming in. Indonesia claimed that it was going to be more wary about budget travelers. They want quality travelers, as they call it.
I think the education, I mean, that's people need to be educated, and they are educated. At the end of the day, Bhutan is a separate issue. That's that's a very small country, and it doesn't have many hotel rooms either, so it's not the greatest comparison. But flight to quality, on my flight just now, there were 3 billionaires, right, on the flight. Budget travel opens accessibility, not only just cheap fares. We do routes that the full service carriers don't do. So we create tourism that just wasn't there before for smaller cities, right? So no, I don't think, in 21 years, I said Bhutan's pretty exceptional, but we were offered a route to Bhutan anyway, but we don't have the aircraft to be able to land there.
So not yet?
No, I don't think Bhutan's going to be top of our priority list. The others are serving it well. But no, I don't see that as an issue.
Bottom line, when do I buy my ticket? Do I wait to see whether or not you're going to get any cheaper? Or do I say, no, buy now?
Do I wait to watch the next Channel News interview? If I want to watch it, I watch it now. If you want to travel now. Because, who knows what's going to happen, what's going to happen. I always, just in life, do whatever you want to do now. Don't overplan, because things change. Can you imagine you waited a few months and then you didn't travel for 3 years? So do what you feel now. I mean, I think fares are more or less where they are. If oil price goes down substantially, yes, they will come down. But I foresee a high oil price for a while. And currencies, while they got inflation where it is and interest rates are where they are, currency is going to weaken in this part of the world. So, it probably gets more expensive further down the line.
The International Air Travel Association says that traffic globally is going to be back where it was, pre-COVID, by next year. That's only a couple of months away. Do you agree?
Not for Asia. You've got China still closed, right? So I think we're about 6 months behind the rest of the world. Southeast Asia, yep, I'm confident. India, etc. But total Asia, not until China opens will it get back to those levels. A lot of replacement will take place, as I mentioned earlier, to cover China, but I don't think so. I think for us, second half of 23, we'll begin to see it. I'm very confident China will open up by the second half of 23.
Is this the most optimistic that you've ever been now from this?
Look, I'm always optimistic. Last time we talked about it, I said, you were negative on whether people were going to get rid of PCR tests and all of that.
Even the masks. I didn't think we'd be sitting here like this.
There you go. So, and now we're pushing to get rid of masks on the plane. So, you're here in Changi. This is your first time, I think, for a very long time. So you have to be optimistic. There are two ways of dealing with life. You can sit there and moan and cry, or you can go out and affect change. My life is about not complaining and going out there and making change and getting back to where we are. I'm positive of the future. I don't know what the future really holds. I would be foolish to say, everything is a bed of roses and nothing's going to happen. But boy, from where I came from, if you're not optimistic, then there's something mentally wrong with me, because I've had 2.5 years of not flying. I've come to Singapore about 8 times since January, and 3 years I never came. So I'm happy. I remain optimistic. Yes, there are headwinds, but hey, I've just come through the biggest cyclone that the aviation industry has ever been. I'm here, alive. How can I not be optimistic?
Tony Fernandes, thank you for being on In Conversation.
Pleasure. Thanks for being here. I always enjoy it. And I hope the next 6 months you'll be a bit more positive.
I shall try and shift gear.
All right,
Thank you.